put a lot of pressure on myself even as a child. I used to proudly call myself a perfectionist, oblivious to the damage it was causing. I wanted to live up to the expectations of others, and more importantly, the expectations that I had created for myself. What came of it was lots of high achievements, numerous awards, pride, and burnout. I got through it, not really understanding what it was at the time that was making me so mentally exhausted, really cynical, and what made me self-sabotage myself so many times. I saw a completely different side of myself come out, which rejected work and rejected the perfect facade that I had controlled for so long. Even then, I've still come close to burnout numerous times. A big part of that is caused by my own personality, and naturally I have this need to control everything around me. I've learned a lot from my encounter with burnout and my close calls to burnout, and in today's video I want to share those lessons with you. But let me tell you guys, burnout is real. Self-care and wellness and all of those things have really gained popularity, and that's great. But on the flip side of that, I really feel like society has made wellness and self-care another goal that we have to strive for. Going to the gym now isn't always about making time for yourself and being healthy. It's become part of a goal to have a Gymshark body. Having a bubble bath and a nice skincare routine isn't now about carving a moment of peace for yourself in the day, but being able to upload a photo on Instagram to join in on that trend. Now, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but I think for me personally, I've really learned what self-care means to me, even when it's not necessarily aesthetically pleasing or what society makes us think that self-care should be. Self-care for me is sometimes just about having a lie-in when I need to, staying in my pajamas all morning, eating popcorn all day, or not talking to anyone because I feel like I need to recharge. Sometimes it's even just me going easy on myself. I've basically realised that self-care isn't a list of things that we have to tick off. It's whatever makes us feel good. And it's something that we need to prioritise all of the time, and not just when we're already feeling stressed or overwhelmed. By doing things for ourselves daily, it will just give us more energy to cope with things as they come. So I think one of the keys to avoiding burnout is to actually avoid surrounding ourselves with the things that put too much pressure on ourselves. For example, there are loads of dentists on Instagram who share high quality photos of their cosmetic work. As someone who graduated not too long ago, it really did put so much pressure on me. It made me think that I wasn't good enough, and it really made me feel so stressed and so rushed to achieve their level of work, even though that can take years to get to. Nowadays, I don't actually follow a single dental account. Obviously, it's not just social media, maybe it's people in your life, and maybe you can call them out on it, distance yourself from them, or learn to ignore it. We all have so much pressure around us to tell us to be better at our jobs, to be better partners, to be better parents, and to have better bodies. But when you take away those pressures, you can finally breathe. In my case, it made it so much easier for me to just chill out and relax. Something that I did during school and university was to work really hard during the term year and then really enjoy my holidays. And I really began to carry that mindset and that structure with me even after I left university. I thought that I had to work really, really hard and then earn a well-deserved longer break. But now I'm starting to realise that breaks from work or responsibilities or pressures don't necessarily need to be a treat, they should just be the norm. I now realise that stress should actually be the lesser part of my life and not the majority. So it's really made me reevaluate how I spend my time to better reflect that. Like, yes, even if I've not had a productive day, I can still enjoy the evening, I can still go out on that weekend, I don't need to punish myself for it. I no longer have to work towards giving myself permission to have fun and to just enjoy myself. And I think this really is the mindset that is the key to preventing burnout, because it's the extended periods of stress and anxiety that's going to lead to burnout, even if you do have that longer break afterwards. I'll be honest with you guys, even when I make a video about productivity, I actually roll my eyes at myself. And the reason being is I really don't want to add to the pressures that we all have with getting more and more things done. And so I'm really trying to find a way to balance that idea of getting things done, but also having time for ourselves. I just think there's just too much pressure in society to be productive, and a lot of us, myself included, not only try really hard to be productive, but then also spend our free time consuming productivity content. Even just hearing that and saying that, I feel so drained. I've really started to learn to take a break from productivity, both from the content that I was consuming as well as my desire to constantly be productive. And I've really had to redefine what productivity means to me. This is something that I have always struggled with. I'd love to be a carefree person like Phoebe from Friends, but in reality, I've always been a bit more uptight like Monica. Over time though, I've realised more and more, what's the point of it all? Even if I was to do everything perfectly, like doing really well at work, being the perfect daughter, being the perfect wife and friend, keeping a perfect home together and having a perfect body, would that mean that I was happy or having fun? I feel like when I was taking myself too seriously, I forgot how to have fun and really inhibited myself. I'd start to overthink a lot more and start to really get anxious. And I was really building this facade of myself that I got to the point where I don't think I even understood myself very well. It's honestly just so exhausting trying to control everything. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, is that trying to control everything will always lead to burnout, because there's so much that's outside of our control, whether it's other people or other circumstances. We'll just constantly be running on this hamster wheel. There's honestly so much relief when you just let go. When I emotionally and physically crumbled from burnout, I really began to wonder, what was it all for? Why was I putting all of this pressure on myself? What was the point? Was I happy? And did I really feel like I was truly living life? Yes, I could take on more work. Yes, I could take on more family and friend obligations. And yes, I could try and do things perfectly. But did I want to? Asking myself why for everything has given me so much clarity, and that clarity has given me a better ability to be able to say no. And by saying no, I personally think that it's one of the best things that can prevent you from getting burnout. It means that you can have boundaries in place to protect yourself. I read somewhere that millennials are generation burnout. What do you think? Do you agree with that? I'd love to know if you have any experiences with burnout. What pressures led you to burnout, and what did you learn from that burnout? Let's talk in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, and if you're like me where you put loads of pressure on yourself, check out my video on how I went from Monica Geller to Phoebe, or watch my video on how to feel like you're truly living in life. I really hope it does help. Stay intentional and go create some magic.